Well, I don't know if it's ill. I think it's just like, I don't know. Hopefully I'll feel better tomorrow. But it
I
hasn't
hope so,
been for
dude.
like that long. It hasn't, it's only been for the last like 7 hours or so. I was fine last night. I was fine this morning. But then as the day
What
went
do you?
on, I was just like,
What are your symptoms?
like a bad stomach primarily.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like snot and stuff.
No, not like ill, just like stomach bug ill,
Oh, mate.
whatever that is. But I don't think I am. I think I'll be fine.
Do you get one like every year or so,
I usually get
roughly?
a couple,
Okay. I
depends.
usually get every
Well, I
year.
haven't had any this year, so this might be my first one. I don't know.
Mm,
And I haven't been outside my house in like months, so
mm, I every year. I don't know what it is, but I can only describe it as exhaustion, where like my whole body aches and I can't do anything. I don't. Literally, like I'll rest for a day, maybe two, and then it's gone. It happens
I've had
every
that.
year.
I've had that a few times. Yeah, it's
I
not
don't know what it is. Do you know what it is?
I did, yeah. I mean, a lot of the time it is just like being overworked. Like I've had it where I've gone into work in the morning, and then the moment I get there,
Yeah,
it's just like unimmeasurable pain, and just so exhausted that you literally just you feel like crying because you can't move,
yeah,
and then you have to you have to feel like be like to your boss that I'm not making this up. As much as you think I might be, I'm not. I promise you.
yeah, yeah. Like some, I remember the last time I felt it. I went into work, and then by 11, 12, I was like, I don't feel good. I do
Yeah,
not feel
it
good.
usually happens within the first half an hour or like 2 hours. It's like usually in that's like a 2 or 3 hour window.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
why. It never happens at the end of the day. It's always right at the beginning or like just
Yeah, like you can wake up, but obviously you're a little bit
feel
groggy in the
fine.
morning
Yeah,
anyway, so you kind of
you don't
pass it
tell.
off. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're sort of like, oh, today's slightly worse than usual. Fine. And then you actually start coming around and waking up, and you're like, this is not how I'm supposed to be feeling right now.
This is not good.
This arrived today.
Oh, so is that the guidebook,
Shiny
mate?
as well. Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
And then there's the back. It's all one picture. I
That's
literally
cool.
just had a flick through. A lot of
Yeah.
spoilers, but I didn't look too hard.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Uh,
Sure.
I did learn a lot though,
Good.
so yeah, I'll use that on my second playthrough. I think
Good, good.
I'll just have a bit of a run around for the first 70 plus hours on my first playthrough, and then on the second one I'll open the book up and see if I can do it a bit more strategically or whatever. Because you can definitely collect everything. Like everything is like it's a lot like the Fallout 3 book. Like it's about as thick as well.
Oh, I love the Fallout
Like
3 guide. I love that
it's
guide.
set out exactly the same. Like individual sections of the map and every single collectible within
Right.
that square, and there's like 50 squares to choose from. So yeah, you've got a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do in this game. That's what it looks
So,
like anyway.
so Jay, I was walking around Saturday and I met this guy, and he worked on a farm with
Yeah.
his mum and dad, and they gave him some money to go buy some like glass bottles of Coke, and
Bottles.
he was telling us like this story, and I was like, "Where's this going?"
Yeah.
And he went to the shop and he bought the glass bottles of Coke. And then, like a day later, his mum and dad were saying like he just didn't show, so they were worried sick. Right? They were like, "Where's he gone? What's happened? Has he been kidnapped? Has he been killed? Like, what? Who knows what's happened?" And it turns out he was like, "Oh yeah, no, I actually I just stumbled into this guy called Jay, and he was showing me Cyberpunk." And I ended up watching him play Cyberpunk for the first 7 or 8 hours.
That's weird. It wasn't me.
No, Jay, this is me making up a story to introduce you playing Cyberpunk for a few hours.
Oh, I had a feeling you might have been making that up. I wasn't
I
sure.
was. I was.
Okay, yeah. Started playing it last night, midnight, for about 2 hours because I wanted to see. I wanted to sort of like get the character creation out of the way. I didn't want to, have to spend today morning doing that. So I thought I'd do it early, first thing.
See
It
what
took me
bums
a
me out.
while actually.
What bums me out about that, Jay, is that I would struggle to get in the game, do the character creation, and then not want to play it for a couple of hours.
I
So
mean,
I
I
admire you
did. I
for
mean,
that.
I probably played like a good, I don't know, 40 minutes or so, maybe. I
Okay.
character created for about an hour, and then
Okay.
40 minutes worth of playing it, just to sort of get like the first little bit over with
Sure.
as much as I can. And yeah, I have some things to say, but my opinion is definitely. I have a feeling it's going to change over the next week or two.
Okay.
Definitely.
Well, I'm interested to hear everything. In terms
Okay,
of
should I
your
start?
impressions. Yes.
Should I start? Okay.
That was my weird
So
introduction to your start.
how do I say this? It's definitely not the optimized version. You
Of the
can
Series X
tell. You
version.
can tell. Like it's not. Like we're
In
still
what way, mate?
that update isn't coming until next year, is what we know at least. You're playing it on backwards compatibility from the old generation. It kind of feels like I'm playing an old generation game, just faster because it's on Series X. So there's I genuinely the load times have been so quick that I've barely noticed them. Like they literally, I can blink and they're just like, oh okay, there was a load, I think. Like there's just it doesn't load. This game is great. Um, I haven't had any frame issues. The graphics definitely don't look great
Okay.
in terms of like what I thought in my head it would look like, because I think primarily because I've seen most of the gameplay on PC, which
Right.
already has like all the best stuff.
Are most of the trailers like from PC gameplay and
Yeah, pretty
stuff?
much. Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely think that what we've seen, um, trailers for gameplay on Series X and PS5 were probably not what we've got right now, but I can't be 100% on that. Like there's like weird pop-ins, and it's definitely buggy, but not as bad as what I think some people are saying it is.
Okay, so let's pause. So
It's very
graphics.
minimal, very minimal.
Why are you feeling it's not next gen
Yes,
and stuff?
you know how there's an option to do performance and quality?
Even on hold on. Is that on the core Xbox One version? You can do that.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, like how you can
Wow.
on Assassin's Creed. Yeah,
Right, okay.
you definitely want it on the worst picture quality but better performance. Because if you put it on quality, it goes straight down to like 25, 30 frames. It's
Okay.
not good. You definitely want it on performance, because if not, it's just going to be so jittery and awful. And I think because of that, you're losing a little bit of picture quality. I definitely think the closer you get to things, the better they look, but they don't look good far away. Some things do, some things don't. So it's like it's. I definitely think this is like a much upgraded version. It's sort of like a halfway point between Fallout and Witcher. Like it's not as bad as Fallout and how their animations and things look, but I think it's just as good as Cyberpunk, not as Witcher how it looks, or maybe even slightly better. I actually think realistically the textures look better in this.
I should hope so.
Yeah, yeah, they do. But I
Okay.
think that's only when you're really up close. From far away, things aren't as nice as they could be. I don't think. But I'm not
Okay.
that genuinely hasn't affected my opinion on the game yet. I think it actually has sort of grown on me a little bit. Like I've sort of come to expect it to look amazing, but I'm having to tell myself this isn't the Xbox Series X version. Don't worry about it. Like you'll get your chance next year, hopefully. So yeah, it does look. It is still amazing. I definitely think it deserves a 9. I wouldn't say a 10. Not yet. It might
Well,
be a 10 next year.
how long have you played it for at the moment, mate?
Between 6 and 7 hours, probably like 6.5, 7 hours.
Okay. So I'm just trying to gauge, Jay, where the graphics are in
Yeah.
terms of
Okay.
other games. So
Yeah.
compared to
Better
Valhalla
comparison.
and Red Dead 2,
Better.
what better than Red Dead 2?
If not on par.
Oh, so it's still one of the top graphically
Yeah,
impressive games
graphically it is
then.
pretty impressive. Like especially like it's a little. You know what it reminds me of is weirdly. It reminds me a lot of Final Fantasy games
Okay.
in how characters can look quite amazing and landscapes can look amazing, but they only look good once you get close enough. Like things in the distance don't quite look as crisp as you'd like them to, and even some things that haven't potentially quite loaded, maybe like they've got some sort of weird developer. trick happening. You can tell where like things load in at a certain in a certain bubble around you,
Sure.
slightly better than others. But then they don't pop in necessarily. They sort of just like phase in and phase out. Like imagine you've got a bubble around you, probably 500 meters, maybe like 200 meters around you. Anything past that 200-meter bubble is slightly blurrier than what is before it,
Yeah.
which isn't a bad thing necessarily because you don't really want to be concentrating on something 200 meters away because you're never really going to be looking that far away unless you're looking at the skyline. And sometimes
Yeah.
the skyline can even look pretty impressive. I'd say this game probably wants to be played at night time in the game because things look like there's a lot of like neon lights and stuff, which there
That
still
makes
is
the
during
first,
the
Jay.
day.
That makes it first because I'm playing a lot of the games at the moment, and I'm thinking like, as soon as it gets to night time, I'm like, I can't see
Yeah,
anything. I
I'd
want to
say
be today.
it's called Night City for a reason.
Right.
I mean, it still looks pretty
Yeah.
good in the day. I think the day stuff will probably be better once you're in the Badlands, more than likely. Once you're
So
sort of
does
out in the deserty part of the things, but I haven't got that far yet. So
when it's in day, is it a bit like a Saturday or sorry, a Sunday morning? Like everyone's finished drinking. Is it got
no,
that sort of vibe?
no, it's very
It's
much
more
like the
businessy,
party's
more
still
London.
going. The party does. It's like
Oh,
New York, city that
okay,
never sleeps,
okay,
just does not sleep. It's just constant people walking about, getting on with their day. The
okay.
radio is pretty amazing. The radio makes it feel like you've sort of like got up in the morning and you're getting on with your day. Pretty cool, I guess.
So bugs, Jay.
Yeah. So I've
Bugs.
noticed a few where like a character has like me personally that it's only happened once in this instance where I've got in a car and my character has like jumped through the roof of the car and then quickly come back down. But like it was like happening in like a split second. The only other thing I've really noticed is like a floating gun. But other than that, there really hasn't been
Would that
much.
be an enemy that hasn't popped in then with the floating gun?
I think it's when I've killed an enemy, they've sort of flown a bit, and then their gun has just sort of stayed in the air
Oh, okay,
rather
okay,
than landed, something like that.
okay.
I think
So
the actual like the ragdoll physics are actually surprisingly good in this. Like usually a lot of ragdoll things get like caught on things, they look really weird, but they're actually pretty good in this. They're not bad.
So are the bugs taking you out of the game? Are they annoying you?
Like a tiny bit. Like not even like I think there was moments where I was like, oh, that's a bit much. But there were other moments where I was like, yeah, no, still like I noticed it, but it wasn't like it didn't really affect me too much. I definitely think this game's a grower. Like it really is. I do love it for what it is so far, and I think over time it'll like really get there. But yeah, I wouldn't go into this being like this is going to be the best looking game I've ever seen because it's really not.
Okay.
Um, but
So
it's
mentally,
not disappointing. It's just not what I think a lot of people thought it was going to be.
Jay, this kind of relates to something I want to talk about later.
This is
How?
console I'm talking about though, because obviously I think
Yeah,
PC is
I know.
probably the best looking game ever.
Yeah. When you're going into this, you're now in 6-7 hours. How are
Yeah.
you mentally? I know you're feeling a bit shitty. How are you mentally coping with the fact that you have played Cyberpunk for 6-7 hours now? The imagination of what you thought the game was is being broken down minute by minute to what the game actually is. So
Mm.
how is your expectations weighing up to the game?
Yeah, I think my expectations are definitely more than what it is. But I think once the game, I want to say that I'm just impressed for what it is on console. The only other time I've ever been this impressed is Red Dead, where I'm like, oh, this game's actually good. Like it's a good looking game on console. I think yeah, it really is like
But past graphics,
yeah,
gameplay,
past graphics.
everything,
Oh,
story.
so the story is definitely up there so far.
Okay.
Um, I will say the thing that is maybe slightly jarring is the gun mechanics, the melee mechanics, and also the driving. It doesn't feel similar to much else I've played before.
In a bad way.
Not in a good way. Like it feels intuitive, but not at the same time. It almost feels like you need to gain muscle memory on how to
Mm,
shoot a gun again. Like you know that feeling how to shoot a gun in COD or in something else. But this
Borderlands.
this kind of like throws it out of the window and is like you need to learn how to shoot a gun again. it feels a lot more what I'd imagine what actually feel like shooting a gun is. Like the recoil is insane, but not too insane that it's annoying. It's sort of like realistically jarring. Like when I shoot a revolver, like I really feel it. Like I was kind of impressed. I was like, shit, this thing really just goes going crazy. Like I can
Yeah.
imagine like just sort of like over time, once you level up your your handgun abilities or whatever, you'll sort of get more and more control with it over time, and it'll feel less and less jarring. It'll feel more like, oh, I've been a marksman for a while kind of thing. But at the minute, I feel a bit more like a teenager who's shot a gun for the first time. So yeah, that was quite jarring. The driving feels a bit strange at the minute, but it's probably because I'm driving a pretty run down car. I think once I actually get a pretty expensive car, it'll probably feel a lot better, a lot more intuitive.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? The games have to put you down so that you feel like
Yeah,
Superman by
exactly. It
the
has to give you
30,
all the
40,
terrible
50
stuff
hour mark.
first, so that when you get to
Yeah.
the later stuff, it actually feels good.
But a great game will make you feel at least decent, even when you're level 1, so to speak. I believe.
Yeah, to an extent. Yeah.
To an extent, you're not expected
I'm
to
definitely
beat
the
everyone.
loot is fun. Like there's a lot of loot, and it is random too.
Mm.
So like you can go through one place and get a rare or an epic, and then just load the save back and do it again, and not actually see a rare or an epic. Just get like maybe one rare and loads of common, something like that. So I'm loving the randomness of the drops and stuff. Pretty fun so far. I see a lot of potential in this. Like, I tell you what, it feels so much like Skyrim and Fallout.
In its design.
Like in just how it plays. It feels very much like it.
Really?
Like it kind of surprised me. I was playing a bit and I thought, wow, Nick would love that, just because of how Skyrimmy it was. If that's a word.
I
I
appreciate
think
you
it was more
thinking of...
like, how if you want to increase your blocking skill, you have to block a lot.
Yeah.
So if you
yeah.
want to increase your shotgun skill, you need to shoot a shotgun a lot. Like it's that, and that's what I mean by it feeling like Skyrim.
Yeah,
If you want to be good with something, you have to use it a lot.
I love that, and that all goes all the way back to Ratchet and Clank, right?
Yeah.
You want to level up the gun.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's exactly that. It is
Yeah.
exactly that. Yes.
Yeah,
And there's
and I do love
crafting and
that.
stuff, so it feels a lot like Fallout as well. So, although I haven't actually crafted anything yet, so I don't know how that works quite yet.
I appreciate you thinking of me, Jay, but I would say that I really, really love The Witcher 3, so there's probably going to be a lot to like about this.
I don't know how much I can compare it to Witcher because I have played it.
I mean, they're just completely different games. It very much is the Elder Scrolls and the Fallout, isn't it?
It really is. Like, so Witcher is third person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is, I imagine this is probably what Witcher would feel like if you played it in first person.
Okay.
Because the whole thing obviously is first person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like Witcher would feel probably a lot more like Skyrim if you played it in first person, right? It'd feel very jarring.
I think so, mate. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a jumble at the minute. It's not quite the puzzle. You know what? It's a lot like a puzzle. Like I see all the pieces, I just haven't put them together yet. Like it's very much like that. Like I can see it. I can see the end image. I'm looking at the box, being like, right, where does this next piece go?
Yeah. Like you're 7 hours into a probable,
I want to say like 70 hours.
Yeah.
So I'm like a tenth of the way, if that.
Like I reckon when we have a conversation when you've reached that midpoint, which to be fair might be next week, it'll just be so different. So
you know
different.
What? We had a conversation about like winter gaming, right? And I'm starting to remember that a lot of winter gaming tends to make me want to slow down like a lot.
Slow down gaming a lot.
Yeah, just like because it's colder and you don't feel like you've got as much energy. So it's just like, I need to just not concentrate as much and just I don't know, play it for as long as I can, I guess. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, but no, it's it's special. Like I had so much excitement.
Yeah.
Like leading up to it, and I had to let go of it because I was going to burst. I really was.
Well, you've got it now. You've got it.
The character creation was pretty thorough too. I spent like way too much time. Spent like a good hour. I don't think I've ever spent more than 20 minutes on character customization before.
Is it that detailed?
Not necessarily detailed. There's just a lot to choose from. Like there's a lot you can do, like teeth and tattoos and
Sure.
piercings and
Well,
hairstyles and all
my
sorts.
brother spent a lot on it, on the character creation, but he always does, so I didn't see
I
that
did
as
quite a
sign.
basic look, honestly. I've
Okay.
done a female V street kid who looks Asian, who has a full chest tattoo, a few piercings, and just like normal sort of length hair. Really, black hair. Like she looks very basic.
Jay, I'm going
But
to
I don't
ask a
mind that,
really stupid question right now.
dude. Ask away. I like stupid questions. It depends on if it might not be a stupid
I
question.
mean, it probably is because they've probably already explained this because I haven't watched anything. Oh,
No, that's
are you
alright.
back?
That's just me being funny. Yeah, go on.
So the person in the trailers, that's just their avatar they've been using.
What you mean, like the V character,
Yeah,
the male
the
and female V?
the blonde, like the short blonde haired guy from
Oh,
who's on the cover. He's on the cover.
oh, well, so this guy. Hang on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like the base. He's like one of the presets you can choose from. He's like the base of the male, and then the female version is the base of the female, and you can just change things to how you want them to be, look different. You know,
But
mine
there
doesn't look
isn't.
exactly like it; it's slightly different.
But this isn't a Witcher where you're playing as Geralt. You can change how
No,
Geralt
oh yeah,
looks slightly.
you
But
can very much change how you look, very
okay,
much. Like,
so
yeah,
you are creating.
it's not like you can make an alien. You know, you can't make a
Yeah,
green-skinned, pointy-faced person, but you can make
yeah.
a normal-looking human who has cybernetics and tattoos and weird eyeballs. I guess it's like about as crazy as it gets.
So are you called V-Man even if
Fingernails.
you're a woman?
Yeah, V for both. I guess V is probably
Oh,
short for like Victoria, and maybe short V for the man is probably like Vincent, probably.
okay. So
Just V.
because you can change your character more extensively than The Witcher 3, clearly.
Yes.
What does that relate to the character? As in, are you creating the character a bit like a Commander Shepard, or are
Oh.
you playing as a character like Geralt? Like Geralt is the character, and you're
Oh,
playing
yeah.
as
No,
him.
yeah. You are playing as V. Yeah.
So you're not creating your own character,
You're just
kind of
making
thing.
V look like a different version of maybe someone else's
V,
V. Yes, it's always still
right?
the same.
Okay,
Same female voice. You can't. The female voice is the same for
yeah,
every female you create, and the male one is the same for every male you create. It's the same person. They just look
okay.
different in your playthrough. Yeah.
And you have a personality.
Yeah, there is the personality of that person. Yeah, you
Okay,
can't change the personality unless you
okay.
give different dialogue options, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Okay, fine. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Hmm.
And as we're talking now, are you like, I want to get back,
No, I'm really not. Just because I feel crappy. If I didn't, I probably would be. But
mate? I feel for you, man. I really do. Like, I know how much you've
yeah,
been
I've
looking forward
lost
to
so
this game.
much motivation today. I really have. I mean, I don't even know if I'm going to play it after we finish.
Dude, it might just
I'm
be best to take
finding
24-hour rest and then go back to it.
my lack of motivation right now is annoying me. But there it is. That's probably just because I feel down. I don't know, lack of sleep or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll try and get some more sleep tonight. We'll see what happens.
Dude, Cyberpunk will be there. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere. If anything, it's just going to get better with time.
Yeah,
Like a
exactly.
fine wine.
Exactly. And look, I know that things will be on the internet, but like it's such a big game. There's so much to spoil, like you just do you, just carry on
I
playing
feel like
it.
I can
I'm
already
sure you'll be
like
fine.
from what I've seen, I can already tell. I mean, there is actually 5 endings to choose from,
Right.
and you can actually revert back to a save and do each one individually if you want to. So
Sure.
the game has multiple ways of being different. I mean, I've actually what I did one of the first missions I did, I went back and did again because I wanted a different outcome. I was like, I'd much rather have that outcome than that one, so I went back and did it again. So yeah,
Mate,
depending on what you
welcome to the
do.
world of the RPG. Oh, I should have
Yeah,
done that.
very very RPG this. Although I
Okay.
will say it does still, like, a lot of people were sort of thinking it wasn't a shooter. It's definitely still a shooter.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah, it's very much like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Good. Now, Jay, don't get me wrong. I could ask you about this all day, but I know that you're 6 or 7 hours in, so I don't want to put you out your depth here
No, I mean,
because,
I'll have a lot more to talk about next week.
yeah, no, that's
Definitely, and in
cool.
terms of like details, I obviously don't want to say too much. So
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. In relation to Cyberpunk, though, quickly,
there's so much Cyberpunk news now; it's insane.
I've been thinking a lot, Jay, about hype, as I do.
Yeah,
And I know
it's hit me pretty hard.
yes, and I know that I've spoken a lot about how this is similar to Red Dead 2 in my mind in terms of how hyped people are. And I can't help but think, Jay, that pop culture events like this are basically idolized as religious events in my mind.
I guess, yeah.
For example, The Force Awakens coming out. I feel that culture at the moment is such an important part of so many Westerners that it really is. I think that's what drives hype, is that, that whole, I can spoil it because I have more power over you. It's a whole power play. It's like, when El's like, oh, I'm about to play Cyberpunk, he's like trying to put power over me because he's got Cyberpunk and I haven't, even though I could just buy it right now.
Do you know what's funny? Like, when I talk to you about it, I don't feel that at all.
Yeah, oh, 100%, 100%.
Like, for me, it's more of I'm just playing it. There's no, like, thing behind it being that I'm trying to shove it in someone's face or anything. I don't really 100%. See the point in that. Yeah. You said Force Awakens a minute ago. That's
Episode 7.
That is episode 7. For some reason, I was getting it confused with Fallen Order. I don't know why. I just was.
Dude, I really want to go back to Fallen Order.
Yeah, I've actually had a bit of a hankering, honestly, weirdly. Even though, I don't know, this strange thing happened where I was having my tea and I was like, I really fancy like playing Pokemon right now. And I really fancy like playing, just Pokemon. And then I was like, I really fancy playing Fallen Order, and I also really fancy playing like a bunch of other games. But I'm playing Cyberpunk, and I really fancy playing that too.
Yeah.
Like, you just want to play a bunch of other things while you also want to play this one thing you've been waiting for forever.
Well, funny you say that, Jay. I've been playing Ghosts, as you know.
Yes.
And I did have a craving just to get. I know you talking about your dad starting too many games last week.
Yeah, he's like that. Well, he has been playing a lot of Cyberpunk the last day of the day, so
that's good. I definitely have this thing where I feel more comfortable having at least 2 games on the go, something like that. So, I know.
I can't. If I'm not playing one, I'm playing none.
Sure.
Can't play 2. It's one or nothing.
I just like the choice of like, I don't fancy that, so I'll go back to that.
I'm the same with TV shows. I can't watch more than one TV show.
I get that.
One or nothing.
I get that.
And even genre too. I can't watch more than one different genre like within the space of a week. Like, it's all thriller this week, it's all horror this week, it's all comedy this week. Like, I just can't change it up that quick. I don't know why, but there we go.
Yeah. So
yeah, you were saying your brother, right? Your brother was talking about Cyberpunk.
Oh, well, I was just saying that, he's trying to, what I would consider like have power by saying, I get to experience this phenomenon before you.
Honestly, we all know. Better off.
We all know in the room
genuinely
that the optimization isn't out. The bug
he's not playing it on PC, is he? He's playing it on PlayStation.
No, he's playing it on PS5, I think.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, it's really hard to say. But I think honestly, I'd love to compare. If you don't play this until the optimized version comes out, I'd love to compare our like first initial thoughts.
Yeah, sure.
Because I imagine it would be so drastic.
Okay.
Honestly. I'm not. Thing is, I'm not annoyed that I'm playing it before.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't bother me. I'm not the kind of person who, like, first impressions don't tend to matter as much to me.
Sure.
Like, I don't get butthurt about things like that necessarily. I think if you'd asked me a year ago if I do, I'd have been like, yes, and I would have cried after I told you. Not anymore. I'm just like, the older I get, the less I care about stuff like that. Or at least try to, anyway. As much as I can. Which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. So anyway, I was playing Ghost, and I was like, okay, I fancy something else now. So I started Death Stranding. Hideo Kojima's diverse piece of art.
Okay, I have some questions.
Before you go into the questions, I'm going to make my opening statement.
If that's okay, Jay. Yeah, of course.
Opening statement.
The floor is yours.
The first hour and a half of this game, games don't get better than that.
I'm trying to remember what the first hour and a half was like.
The direction is so good. The world building is top. The first hour and a half, 2 hours, I'm like, this shit is the fucking best. Then I started delivering deliveries.
And then you didn't like it?
I got to be honest with you, Jay. This is my real feelings towards it.
Yeah.
I'm playing it, and I'm like, I'm not hating it. I get a little bit bored. I come off, and then I end up craving it. And I'm like, I kind of fancy going back to it. I'm like, what is this game doing to me?
It's one of
What is
those.
this game doing?
I don't know how you are about this, but I love monotonous tasks. I love like doing the same boring thing over and over and over and over again. Like there are times where it can get a bit annoying, but I feel like there is a level of that in Death Stranding where it's like you're just delivering something from A to B and then from B to A again, or maybe from A to B to C and then C to A again. Like it's that kind of feeling. But I think the journey is most of the battle. Like it really does feel like you're going on an adventure. Question I want to ask is, have you slipped over yet? See, you're probably not going to believe me, but I didn't slip over once. And
So
I
you just held R2 and L2 at the right time?
pretty much the entire time.
You're on very easy.
It's a bit of a trick where if you literally just hold down L2 and R2 the entire time, you basically never fall over ever.
Yeah, but you obviously go a little bit slower.
There's been times where I've been like, whoa, but then I recover so quick it doesn't really matter. I think I was just extremely cautious in my journey pathing. I very rarely went anywhere that was dangerous of a path. I always went the easiest. Like the path was the least resistance. I always went with that way. I never took it. I never took any risks.
Okay, right. Yeah. So I've got loads of
questions.
Played
it super slow.
Yeah, you played it slow.
Pretty slow.
So,
yeah.
First of all, mate, the horror element of the BTs and whatever is fucking awesome.
It is. You know, it really feels like you're watching a movie, but you're also playing a movie to me.
Exactly.
Or like a really, really high budget TV show.
Yeah, like as soon as the performers started performing, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm back in The Last of Us Part 2." Like, there's a degree of direction here which little other games have.
It feels very Sony.
Yeah,
it feels very PlayStation of a game. You can tell when a game feels like a PlayStation game and when it feels like a Microsoft game. This couldn't have ever been on Xbox. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
like it just doesn't. It's just like it's such a Japanese game. Like
yeah, so
Hideo, man, that man is a genius. He really
I
know.
Is. So I haven't got much history with Kojima's games really, and
not really either. But you know,
I gotta say, first of all, the menus suck. I don't know where anything is. I can't find any information. I'm information overload, and I find this with a lot of Japanese games. They keep giving you tutorials till you're 50 hours in, and Final Fantasy does it, and I fucking hate it. I am like 3.5 hours in, and they're still telling me new gameplay elements, and I'm like, please stop.
You got plenty more to come. I think I was still getting those at like 30 hours in.
Oh God.
I feel like I can make a somewhat of a comparison to that with Cyberpunk, actually. It does feel like a bit of an overload at the minute. Like the map's very cluttered at the minute. I can barely see what's going on. There's just so many side things and collectibles. And
I'm blind.
Like there's a lot going on at the minute. I'm trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
I will say it's weird. This game feels very progression. Like the game feels like it's in multiple versions or multiple tiers. Like the first 10, 20 hours is like tier 1.
Are you talking about Death Stranding, mate?
Yeah, Death Stranding now. Like the game changes like 3 or 4 times. Not like a completely different game, just like I wish I had that at the beginning, because the game would have gone so much quicker and smoother. Like there is one thing that I don't think you've even unlocked yet that I'm like, dude, I can't wait for you to get.
Is it the bike?
No.
Okay.
I don't think you've even been introduced to it, but I genuinely, if you want help with it, I'll give you some links because you're gonna need them.
Okay.
And I don't want to say too much because I want you to like figure it out for yourself. But I can't wait till you get to like between 10 and 30 hours and just like figure out what I'm talking about. And I'm like, oh yes, it makes the game so much easier.
So what I'm worried about, Jay, is when you tell me 10 to 30 hours, I'm thinking like, no way. There's no way I'm playing. I
can't remember exactly how long it took me to get them. It might have even been like closer to 30.
No, but how long did it take you to finish this game? Like 40, 50 hours?
Yeah, I think it was around 50.
Yeah, I can't deal with that. No way. Not for this game. No way. No way.
You'd be
No
surprised. You know what?
way.
It's a lot like Assassin's Creed in that the story tends to make it worth it. Trust me, the story makes it worth it.
Mate, I've got no doubt the story is the main driver for this game.
Oh,
No
yeah.
doubt in my mind.
It's weird though, because I think every element of this game is as special as the next.
You're gonna have to break it down for me then, Jay. So I'm in the
Yeah, I
market
want to know where
segment.
you are. Market.
So I'm in the segment of people who I think love the story, love the direction, and love the graphics and all that. And I don't hate the gameplay, but I am there thinking like, am I really gonna just have to hold R2 and L2 for 10 minutes?
Longer.
Like that's
50
it.
hours.
Yeah, I don't want to do that, Jay.
You do.
I don't.
Trust me,
I
you
don't.
do. It hurts, but then it feels good.
But like that, I just don't think that's very fun.
It is fun, in like a very calming. Like for me, it felt more like meditation. Like meditation's not fun. It's boring. It's calming. That's the point. You play this game. I feel like Death Stranding is perfect for winter. Like it genuinely is. It's perfect for that. Like everything's just take it easy, slow down. You don't need to rush, boy. All right. Like it's just so nice and calming. And go to sleep now, that kind of thing. Like honestly, I can imagine playing Death Stranding with like a couple of Horlicks and just like falling asleep. I'd love that. I think it was weird because I played Death Stranding in I want to say maybe like spring, summertime, maybe,
Yeah.
which probably
You
wasn't
played
the
it this year,
best.
didn't you?
Yeah, I think I played it literally like a week or two before
Ghost.
Ghost. Yeah, I played that
Yeah.
in Ghost, like which was good because I think Ghost is fairly calming too. So a
Yeah.
lot of meditation and
Haikus.
haikus and thinking about what you've done
Oh.
and and all that kind of stuff. So I think if you're in the right mood to just like take it slow and be calm about things, yeah, it's good stuff.
Okay, fine. So what I have is
My heart did
Ghost.
pound a lot at parts though, so
Sure.
there's some actiony bits.
So what I have is Ghost, which is I don't know how else to explain this game, Jay, apart from I love it. Like I just
See, I
it's
had
just
exactly.
so
If we go back to the special, I'm pretty much. I was like, Nick, don't know how to explain this, but I love it. Like I'm
literally
pretty sure I said the same thing. Yeah, no, it's
like
just
it's
something about
so
it.
enjoyable. Like so anyway, so Ghost, I'm like every moment I'm just enjoying the whole gameplay loop. And then Death Stranding, I'm like this story is incredible. I just the idea of walking around for 40 hours is so not happening for me. But then
I mean, I feel
I'll
they
probably go
throw
back to it.
they throw in enough sort of like adrenaline, heart pounding bits where you're like, oh, okay, I need to admit, like, I think moreover, it's more of like I need to learn how to get good at this game. For
But
me,
I just
you know what? I can compare it a lot to like Dark Souls, in that it's a very rewarding mental challenge, but one that at the end will bring you peace. It won't make you angry. You won't be angry that you spent this long walking around. You'll be like, oh, that was nice. Like that felt. It was more of a relieving, but less. It was more of a. Like, I cried a lot actually playing Death Stranding. So it was more of an emotional release than anything else. Like I imagine it'll probably be what my version of what Last of Us was, just very emotional, and
mm,
not like out of necessity, just more out of just like it kind of just happened. Yeah, it was just nice. It was like watching a nice movie, like it really was, but one that that lasted quite a long time.
How did you deal with the monotonous gameplay? And what advice do you have for me? Would you advise to go to Death Stranding after a long day and just to really be like this? You're not
Um,
here to entertain your mind. You're here to break down and just to
the
relax.
monotony, yeah, just sort of like do something boring for a bit. Not have to think too much. Just like hold down some buttons and walk.
I
A
just
lot of
don't know.
like
Okay.
I got excited about whenever a music track kicked in. I was like, oh shit! Like it was just so calming and nice.
The
Like I was like,
music is
oh, the
phenomenal.
music kicked in right there at the perfect time.
Yeah, the music is
I think it's
phenomenal.
weird because the sun never comes out in this game. It's like constantly raining, right?
Right, right.
So it's a very glum and gloomy and rainy and very British game in that
Yeah,
instance. Like the game Vampire is the same. It's constantly nighttime.
yeah,
So it's kind of one of those games you need to be slightly gloomy, slightly emotional to play. I'm not saying that you need to be, and I'm not telling you how to feel. I'm just saying, I'm not saying it helps to feel that way either. You can feel happy and play this game. It just made me feel a certain way.
I think I might have to finish Ghost so that
Yeah,
option's
I'd
not
say
on the
so.
table and then go to
And
Death
then,
Stranding.
this proves my point of not being able to play more than one thing at once because you just get too many different divergent emotions.
Yeah,
Too many different, like, I can't imagine reading two different books at the same time because imagine reading like a thriller in one and then like a comedy in the other. You're like, well, what's my mind supposed to be thinking? Am I supposed to be happy or sad right now? It's just a bit of an
sure.
overload. And
Yeah, that's fair. The music is phenomenal though,
I feel
and
like if my only advice is to not think of it as monotonous. Just enjoy the art. For me, it was just like it was literally. I could compare it to going to an art gallery and staring at a painting for hours and trying to think, what is it? How does this make me feel? Because to me, a lot of things about art is just like art is what you make it. It's what you receive from it. It's not what the artist tried to make you think. It's what you think ultimately. Art is subjective, massively, and that's I think how people should look at a lot of entertainment too, which is why I think reviews can be a bit weird sometimes because they're objective.
correct. Well,
I mean,
yeah,
it's weird. They're a bit of both, but sometimes
yeah,
they're a bit too much of some and not enough of others. But
yeah.
um, yeah, no, I felt like it was more of like an art piece. I wasn't really playing a game or watching a film or watching, it just felt like art, which I know sounds really poncy and weird, but it kind of like I can. Have you seen Daredevil, the series on Netflix?
No,
Okay.
no.
Well, there's a I'm not going to spoil too much, but there's a thing in there about a painting that he stares at or that a particular character stares at for a long time, and it kind of just felt like that. It was just very, just special art. It's really hard to explain. I just looked
No,
at it as like almost like watching like someone with a very brilliant mind make something. Like I just thought
I'm
Kojima made
glad
this. It's brilliant.
I'm glad you liked it a lot. I just not sure if in this moment in my life I have the patience
Yeah, you
to
do have to be
play
quite
this type of
patient.
game.
You really
I
do.
think this maybe would be a game where I'm like 50, getting tired, getting drawn
I don't know.
down.
I feel like sometimes you need quite a hefty amount of youthfulness to get through some of this game.
Okay.
Not like just in terms of skill.
Yeah, again, that's another thing. Again, the menus, I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to be doing. Like, do I buy ladders? What is going on?
Yeah,
Like,
I
I
will
don't
say
know.
it's very Japanese and very Metal Gear Solid
Oh
in
god,
that
I hate
way.
it. I hate it. Oh, here's one gameplay element. Oh, and 50 others. Make sure you remember them all. Oh, and here's another 10.
I will
Ah!
say, don't worry about carrying too much of like in quotes necessities. I'd say the
Yeah.
only thing you really need to worry about is repair spray and blood packs and boots. Always bring like two boots. Always. Because
God.
you're going to go on some long walks and you're going to go through some boots.
I do think that the game is purposefully paced, and I appreciate
Oh,
that.
extremely purposefully, yes.
Yeah, because it does feel like as soon as you want to turn off the PS4, something happens, and I think that is purposeful.
They
I
do
will
give you
also,
some good rest times though.
yeah,
Like when you get to a rest stop, it feels like, oh, I needed that. I
yeah,
need to go and have a
yeah,
shower and have a pee and fill up
yeah, yeah.
my grenades or whatever. All
I
that
can
kind
totally see why this game would not resonate with
of, some people, yeah, casual
a
gamers.
lot
It's,
of people.
it's not a
A lot
casual
of
gamer game.
people.
Yeah, it's not a
No
casual game at all.
way.
It
Like
sold
this.
pretty good though. That's the problem is, or the good thing, it sold so well.
I don't know. I didn't think it did, Jack. I thought we looked at the numbers and it hadn't even sold over like what? It only sold over 1 million when we last
Oh, that's the
looked.
point. Yeah, I mean, it didn't sell like amazing in terms
Because
of
I'm
like
thinking of
other
Ghost of
things, but it didn't sell
Tsushima, which
badly.
sold 4 million. And then I'm thinking like, okay, that's obviously that's a game which is hitting some of the mainstream market, like God of War. But I look at Death Stranding and I think there's no like I can see why Sony wouldn't want to do a sequel or something like this again, because it probably cost a lot of money, and I'm not sure they got their money back, to be fair. I'm just
Yeah,
trying to
so
look
it's
them up.
saying here it sold 4 million.
Death Stranding,
Yeah,
same as Ghost of
that's
Tsushima.
as of
Fair play.
September 2020. So it
Fair
took
play.
them a year or two to sell that much, and it took obviously
That's a lot
Ghost a
though.
lot less time. So
Sure.
I mean, 4 million isn't bad. It's just not great.
4 million is pretty good.
I mean, anything over 1 million is like great.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it's like pretty good. So I'd be happy with 4. I mean, he definitely made enough money to make another one or something. So if he wants to, he said, he will. I guess I'm sure he's working on something. That's the great thing about Kojima. You don't know until you know. Like I feel like following Death Stranding and then playing it was a different experience to not following it and then playing it. Because
100%.
you haven't been following it, I don't think, right?
Oh yeah, I followed it. I followed it.
Really? Like you sort of followed like the social media
Every
like mystery
trailer,
and everything, yeah.
the whales, fucking
The necklace and
yeah,
like the black handprints and the beach and the floating bodies and all
yeah,
that stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing that really resonated with me, I think, was the second trailer, which revealed Mads Mikkelsen, who I loved, and I thought the soundtrack was fucking. I thought that was the best video game trailer I'd seen for years. I loved it.
Yeah, me too. I think if you'd followed, I think if you had followed the ARG, I forget what they call something role playing game, I can't remember what it's called now. Which is basically like almost like little Easter eggs in like social media posts and websites that give you clues into what the game might be about. Like the mystery around it made it seemed special, like a piece of art, like it was something to be appreciated, which I think helps you enjoy it a little bit. So I think if you hadn't have done that, you probably wouldn't like it as much as you do now. I imagine.
Well, yeah, because I'm looking at these trailers, right, and I'm like, this universe looks incredible. I can't wait to play this game. And then I hate to be reductionist about it, but you are delivering boxes.
Yeah, but you're also trying to defeat these BTs and get to the other side of the US so that you can save the world, essentially.
I know,
Or at least
but you
save
are doing
America.
that by delivering boxes.
But I mean, you are, yeah. But you're also wearing that very special necklace
Yes,
that allows you to connect to
connecting.
the US because the journey is so treacherous. No one has bothered to do it in like 40 plus years. Like you're the first person to actually be like, yeah, I'll give it a go, even though I'm probably gonna die. Like it's basically
Yeah,
like telling someone you're about to go to war and then being like, am I the only one? Okay. Like imagine literally being like the only guy to go to a war and the enemy is like a ghostly alien thing. You're like, oh shit, like you're literally a one man army. So
Last question on Death Stranding, Jay.
yeah.
You know, I think roughly how intelligent I am. Am I going to understand? Am I going to understand this
Oh,
game?
that's I love that you said that. Honestly, I hope so because it's
I'm
weird. Like
trying really hard.
I think one of the great things I love about being human is understanding your own intelligence, or at least thinking you do, and then the perception of someone else's intelligence versus yours. Because to me, you either think exactly like me, or you can't quite get to the level I can. I'm not saying that because I think I'm better than you, because I don't think that at all. I'm saying that because that's just how I can't quite imagine anyone has ever thought about certain subjects that I have. Like it's hard
Yeah.
to believe that anyone's had the same unique thought as me. I mean, I'm sure millions of people have a long time ago. I'm sure they have, but it's just hard to think that sometimes. I'd like to think that you do, though. I'd like to think that we have the same experience, stroke, opinion about certain intellectual property. About certain things that happen. Do I think you'll understand the story ultimately? I think if you did a little bit of research like I did, then yeah. It's almost like a Truman Show thing where you don't quite know what's going on until you've watched it like 3 or 4 times.
Can I? Okay, some very minor spoilers for Death Stranding. Skip 5, 3, 4, 5 minutes. Okay,
Yeah, they
Jay,
can't be
I'm
that
going to
bad.
explain to
2.5 hour
you
in.
what I understand
Yeah,
so
please
far.
do.
Okay.
I'd love for you to tell me exactly what you think is going on.
Okay. So I met a girl called Fragile who seems to be a network
Fucking,
delivery
I
lady. Okay,
love that
hold on.
character. I love her. I love the actress. I loved
Yeah,
her
yeah,
in Inspector. I think she was in 007.
yeah. I love her in
Maybe.
blue. Blue is the warmest color.
Yeah.
So anyway, she gets introduced. Okay, so basically there was a second Big Bang, which basically, from again, this is what I understand, has introduced elements of the afterlife slash dead people into the world of the living. And what happens is that when someone dies, they get turned into a BT if they're not incinerated, like either their body or their soul or something. And when that happens, there's like this huge thing that happens, and then it's called a void out, I think. So the world has changed. Everything, like everyone knew, is like different or whatever. The history's gone, kind of. So it's like it's from point zero. So we're in a kind of weird, futuristic, post-apocalyptic, not kind of universe where there's BTs in the world, but you can't see them, but they make handprints so you can sense them. But only people with dooms can sense them, which is a gene or something, which your main guy Sam has. So he can sense them, but he also can't die because I think dooms. And then he's got a bridge baby, which is a baby from a stillborn mother who's in a tube thing, which is, you know, basically designed so he's still like in the womb kind of thing, and he can sense BTs because he's from a stillborn mother. And then when Sam's got that with him, he can sense the BTs even more, and obviously that's where you get like your weird flashy thing, which is really cool. And then there's your mum, who is the president, who died. So your sister wants to reconnect and replace her. So that's your main goal. I think she's your sister. There's a lot of sexual vibes there. It's very creepy. And you've got the necklace, which reconnects. And then you've also got what looks to be two bad guys, which obviously I don't know anything about. So one of them's Troy Baker, I think, who's the leader
Oh,
of that rogue
I'm enjoying this
people.
way more than you are. Oh my god. I'm enjoying this. So I know exactly where you are in your mind, and I'm
Right, okay.
there, and I love it. I love it so. Honestly, it just makes things so much more nice to know exactly that's where you are. Okay, cool. I love
Yeah,
it.
so
Oh god, I love it, my guy.
I'm nearly done. Troy Baker, he's
Yeah,
I think
I
a
love
bad guy for this rebellious group where your sister's being held captive,
it.
and then
Okay.
Mads Mikkelsen looks to be the father of the bridge baby that you have, but I don't know what that's about. Clear, I
Okay.
think he's the main bad guy, but I haven't seen really anything of him apart from flashbacks when you connect to the BB. And then
BB.
there's a guy called Dead Man who's modelled by
Dead.
Guillermo del Toro,
Oh
who
yeah.
sort of helps you. And then there's other guy who I forget the name of, who's got a
Oh
mask
damn.
on for
Yeah,
some reason.
I got his name as well.
And
It's a weird name.
I
Oh,
think that's
Die
pretty
Hard
much
Man.
it. Die Hard Man, which is the fucking worst name. Anyway, I
You'll find
think
out why. But yeah.
that's as much as I kind of know.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and, and
No,
the
I
BTs
love
look
where you are.
like human beings with a
Umbilical cord, right?
umbilical cord to the
Yeah, they're
ground.
sort of like, yeah, either connected to the ground or each other. They're sort of like floating quite close to each other most of the time.
And you're telling me, Jay,
Yeah,
that I'm going to understand all of these
you
elements by the
really
time.
are. Yeah, you're gonna
Okay.
understand exactly everything. You're gonna understand absolutely everything. There might be one or two things where like I don't quite get it, and you might have to do a quick Google.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I mean, they explain. It's almost. Have you seen the film Memento? The
Yeah,
Christopher
yeah.
Nolan.
Love
So
Memento.
it's kind of a little bit like that. Like, it's not necessarily things out of order, but it's almost like it's a little bit like watching either a Christopher Nolan movie or like watching a Tarantino movie. Like there's all the pieces, they just aren't quite in the right order, or they aren't quite as or there's some things that are like blurred out that you can't see, or
Sure.
they cut on a scene where if you had heard that last bit of the sentence, it would have made sense. Stuff like that. Like you'll see like things that they've
Okay.
deliberately left out. That once they finally give you that piece, it'll all like the planets will align, as it were. You know.
Okay. Okay.
I
Because
love. I've been that in that exact place, and I love it. I love
okay.
it. I love it. I
I
love
have to say, Jay, if I go 10 hours in and I'm not enjoying the game, I am so tempted just to Google the movie on YouTube. I have to say it.
I think it's like not 8 hours. It could be 8 hours. It's pretty long. I can't remember exactly how long. It might even just be like 3 hours. I can't remember how long the
Would
movie
you be
cuts
disappointed if I did that?
to an extent, yeah. I think not really. I mean, I think it'd be fine. It just makes more sense. Does it? I don't know. I think this definitely could have been a trilogy.
Really?
They could have easily made this into well, maybe not a trilogy. Maybe like a 3-season series.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it would have been good as like a 2 or 3-season series.
Oh, and the rain's timefall, and it
Yeah,
speeds things up.
yeah.
But BTs do that when they touch
ages
things as
things
well.
quicker. Yeah, so if you stand in the rain, you'll just age and die within minutes, basically.
Okay.
Which I don't think actually happens in the game if you do that deliberately. I think you
Yeah,
just
you
die
only got
because
a
your health
coat.
diminishes.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
something
okay.
like that. I think if you deliberately try to get in the rain or like in a certain way, you'll just come back as you usually do.
I'm so surprised you like this game as much as you do, Jay.
Dude, I know. See, I think that's what I like about it because it changes your perception of me, doesn't it?
Okay.
Does
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, yeah.
What What's your perception of me, and how does this change it?
My perception is I'm surprised you enjoyed and got addicted to this gameplay.
Okay. Do you think I'm a bit more casual than I actually am?
No, I think you enjoy things very, very fast. Hence, you're quicker than me.
Oh.
I
Okay.
think
Do you
you're
think
on
I
the
just get
go.
into it quicker than you? Like if
No,
me and you played a game 10 hours each, I'd have got into it within 4, and it would have taken you 8. Is that what you mean?
no. What I mean is, I think if you gave us the same game 3 hours later, you would be further than me.
Hmm, probably not by much, but sure.
But in the sense that I can skip that bit of
I would
dialogue.
have.
I'm not
Do
bothered
you
about
mean
hearing
like
that
I would
voice
have like
actor.
grasped it quicker? Like I would have got what was
No.
going
I
on?
think you
Or
just like going through it quicker.
okay, yeah, I guess it's a speed thing, maybe. I don't necessarily skip dialogue all the time. It's only when I really think I need to. Like I've sort of just got it already, so I don't really need any more information. But that's very rare. I've only skipped like 1 or 2 lines on Cyber so far, just because they were basically reiterating what they'd already said.
Yeah, no,
But yeah, I don't need to worry
no
about that.
judgment here. No judgment here.
And
It's
that wasn't
just
because I wanted to get the game done quicker. It's just because I just didn't want to hear it again.
yeah,
But yeah, you said that the first time. Okay, fine,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, so in my mind, for instance, like Odyssey or Valhalla, you're on the go, you want to get it done, you're efficient.
Efficient
So
really is my second middle name, other than
so
Goldilocks.
when you're like, oh yeah, I love Death Stranding, I'm like, so the game which
See,
basically makes you feel like the most inefficient human
yes.
being on the
So
planet.
that's what's so good about this later on thing that I was talking about. Once you get there, is that it basically increases your efficiency like tenfold. Like you can deliver things so less monotonously.
Is it a permanent thing?
Once you've done it the once, yes, it's a permanent thing that will it'll increase your uh, enjoyment of the game tenfold. Thing is, I knew it was coming because I'd researched the game before I played it. So I was waiting for it to happen. I was like, right, as soon as I get this, as soon as I can afford it in game, I'm just going to make it, and then it's
I
going to
think I
be
know what you're talking about, by the way.
okay. But I recommend once you get to the point, if you think you know you're at the point, message me and I'll try and send you some things that I can vaguely remember if I've still got it on here. I don't know if I do, but there's a
Okay.
very, very particular link where I had to like follow it like a guide, and it was like it just made everything so much easier and
Okay.
not necessarily more fun, just like more enjoyable because you know you're doing it better than if you hadn't done this previous thing.
Yeah.
But I will say
Okay.
that thing does then take almost the whole game to be able to like finish.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
definitely like a thing that once you, I mean, you have to initiate it
I
to be
know.
able
I
to
know what
make
you're
it
talking
more
about.
efficient. So you
I
can't
know.
like can't
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
do it once and then it becomes a thing. You have to do it like 12, 50 times maybe to like
Yeah.
make it as best as it possibly can be. Yeah, I can't wait. I really hope you enjoy it ultimately. But if you feel like
Me
you don't,
too.
if you feel like you just need to watch the cutscenes, then go ahead. I'm
I'll
not gonna
get
judge
yeah.
you. I'm really not, because
I'll
yeah,
give it another go. I'll finish Ghost. I'm really liking
yeah.
Ghost. So
Just don't stop thinking about death. Just go to Ghosts. Stop thinking about death. Think about Ghosts.
oh
How about
god.
that? I just want to
Um,
mention one more thing about Cyber, just with the fact that they've sold 8 million copies before it even came out.
shut the fuck up.
Pre-orders were 8 million. 8 million pre-orders. That includes console and PC combined. So all consoles, all PC, 8 million. Actually, it's more than 8 million. They just didn't want to put the exact number. This game's gonna make bank.
That is, isn't that like more than Red Dead 2?
I think so. I'm actually gonna calculate it. It is roughly this much money. Hang on. It's roughly 400 million pounds. Right? 400 million? £50 for each game times 8 million. So yeah,
Oh mate,
400.
it's more than 50 quid, right?
No, it's 50. Base game 50.
Oh,
It's 250 for the collectors and then 50 just for the base game. There's no special editions. It's just the collectors and the normal.
that's nice. I like that.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
yeah, 400 million pounds straight away before the
Oh
game even
my
comes out.
god.
So yeah,
That's
this
crazy.
game's probably gonna make close to a billion, probably like at least half a billion.
I think
Point
there are
five.
people playing this who don't actually know what the game is or who made it, but they just know that
Yeah,
everyone's talking
there's
about
probably
it.
a lot of casual gamers who are
Yeah.
playing it, being like, "This wasn't what I signed up for."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or like,
This is
where's
an
my FIFA? Where's my
RPG.
card? What's going on? Like,
What,
you know.
oh, what a grenade. Yeah,
Although
yeah,
I
yeah.
can imagine, like the hardcore casual gamers are probably still playing Fortnite. They're still playing Warzone. They're still playing, COD
Apex Legends.
multiplayer,
Yeah.
Apex. They don't care about Cyberpunk. They don't care.
Yeah. Can
Oh,
we
it
skip
reached
game?
over a million streams on stream viewers on Twitch on
Wow.
day one as well. So
Yeah, you messaged me during the week.
did I?
Oh,
What did I say? I forgot now.
Nick, Halo Infinite's coming fall 2021.
Yeah, 422. Yeah, I'm not that surprised, but I'm not surprised either.
Yeah, I thought it was coming, but
I mean,
it makes
it didn't really look ready when they showed it.
no, it didn't. But this game will be in development for a consistent 6 years, I imagine, by the
Yeah,
time it comes out.
a little bit less
And
than Cyber.
well, yeah, and I'm thinking in my mind, man, is it, how much fixing does it really need? How much fixing does it
I
need?
really think people have underestimated or potentially overestimated the power that games need for this next generation. I think the consoles aren't quite there yet. I don't think it's how it feels. Either that, the only way my point will be proven is that once this Cyberpunk update comes out, I'll be like, oh, okay, the consoles actually are that good.
Right, right.
Let's wait and see.
So if the optimization comes out and
It's all about
and we
optimization, 100%. It's
and
all
we
about it.
see it, you think there's a quote in saying or statement in saying, you know what, this next gen isn't that
There yet?
revolutionary.
Yeah, it's not there yet. We've got.
Mm,
I mean, but it's there. It's just not being used to its full potential yet. Nobody's had enough
yeah,
time with it.
yeah.
Like most launches, all the best games don't come out until 2 or 3 years later, or like a year or two, I guess, depending on how you want to say it. And then the best ones after that usually don't come out for another 4 or 5 years because they're like, oh crap, all these good games coming out. We need to make a new game. Let's spend 4 years making the next best thing, and then they come out 4 years later, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So most of the good games probably aren't coming out until end of 2021, 2022, 2023. Then there's going to be a massive lull in the middle of the decade, and then there's going to be a boom again near the end. So
Well, fingers crossed for Halo Infinite. I still want to play it.
yeah, I don't know if I'm going to bother, honestly.
Yeah,
Not
fair
just
enough.
not just because it keeps getting delayed, but because I just don't. I'm just not invested in Halo anymore. Same way I'm not invested in Gears. Same way I'm probably not that invested in COD anymore. I just think I need to leave some things behind.
And that is okay.
Yeah, I think as I'm getting older, there's some things I just don't need to bring with me anymore.
I
I'm
think
kind of ready to let them go.
I think that relates to the Crash Spyro conversation actually, where
Mm.
there is an element which inside even me you do think, you know what, just leave it behind. It's not, here you are now, that sort of thing. In
Yeah, I don't
terms
know
of
if I'm quite there with Pokemon yet, though.
oh
It's
yeah.
hard to say because I obviously spent money on a Switch just so I could play it, but I don't know. I'll wait till the next one comes out and then we'll know. That probably won't be till 2022. We'll have to wait and
We
see.
haven't played the DLC though, so I think that says something.
I haven't, not yet. No, I think the DLC probably isn't really worth it. I think it doesn't
Fair.
really add enough for me to warrant playing it. I don't think.
Keanu Reeves' character telling you to go away, Jay, if you
Yeah,
play
so some people tried to play it early because they were allowed to boot the game up somehow. And if you tried to boot it up early, there was a screen that came up that was a picture of a junkyard, and at the bottom in subtitles it was Johnny Silverhand, Keanu Reeves' character, basically saying, not yet, samurai, because that's what he calls you. Like he's like, yeah, wait until December 10th. It's not December 10th yet.
That's cool.
Which I thought
That's
was quite a cool Easter egg that they deliberately put in because they knew that it was going to be possible to get in early or whatever. So I thought that was just like a nice little touch.
I like
Very,
that.
flavorful touch right there.
Jay, do you have any inclination of whether this
Good
game
word.
will be in your... Do you have any idea of the impact this game's going to have on you personally at the current moment?
Cyber, you mean?
Yeah.
So I fell out of love with Skyrim and Fallout 2 or 3 years ago, just because I'd done it so much. And I think Cyber has somewhat reintroduced that love I used to have for that, just in a different way, in a more stylized, modern way. So I think for me it's somewhat of an evolution of that, and hopefully I won't get bored of it the same way I got bored of the previous iteration. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's
early.
early doors, early days.
Early
But
schmoz, early
it's
ways.
early schways, schwing. Yeah, it's very. I feel like I'm taking part in a part of history right now. Like I'm sort of looking at this, thinking, like it's been in the works for longer than you think. Because obviously the original game, Cyberpunk tabletop, sort of Dungeons and Dragons styly type thing was from the 80s, I want to say. And it's sort of like the idea has been around for a long time, and it just feels like it's sort of like come home a little bit. It's just sort of like it's taken its time and it's finally where it needs to be for the modern audience, at least. So I think there's even like people who back in the day who played the original who are probably really excited about this, who are like my dad's age. They're probably like really pumped or whatever. But yeah, it's just like it's really hard because I'm enjoying it like almost too much. Like I'm almost finding it hard to enjoy it because of how much I'm enjoying it. I can't. I'm like my brain does this thing where it kind of doesn't let me get too excited about things because I've made a fool of myself in the past of like getting too hyped or getting too excited about something and just said something really dumb that was very uncouth of me or whatever, like very youthful and ignorant or embarrassing. So I tend not to try to get too like that as much as I can now. So I just want to just more like appreciate it for what it is more than anything. I think I just want to like not let the excitement take over and just enjoy it for what it is, and then let time decide whether or not it needs to be it warrants my acceptance. I guess probably a good way of putting it. I don't want to want it to sound that deep because it probably isn't. I don't mean it to sound deep, but it's just it's early. I think this is either like a culmination of every previous decade or every previous years of things trying to get to this level, or it's the beginning of something very special. I think it's probably a good mixture of both. It's the start of something new, but it's also a culmination of the best of everything that's come before it. So yeah, I think it'll right now I'm just going to predict that it's probably going to stick around for a while, but it could be one of those games that we talk about for 2 weeks and then it buggers off again. Hard to say. I can't imagine it will because it's sort of in the zeitgeist at this point.
Yeah.
So once something's this hard in the zeitgeist, it's very hard for it to come out again.
Yeah.
Like Witcher
a
did
message
a
for
job.
those like me who are waiting or haven't played it yet, and a message for those who are playing it now, just remember to keep your eyes forward to some degree, because these things come and go. They always have, they always
Something else
will.
is right around the corner, my guy. It's just right there.
Exactly.
Something that could be literally live streamed tonight and we don't even know it. You know, some sort of new game that's having a new trailer and we're like, oh crap, here's a contender. Ugh. You know,
Something's
new
always
blood.
coming. Something's always coming. So enjoy the present, but also remember that this hype machine is created so you don't enjoy the present. You only enjoy the future, and then it's never there. So
Do you know what? I'm actually really looking forward to my next playthrough.
already,
Even though I've literally started my first one, I'm actually, I think, going to be more excited about my second one. I don't know. Just because I'll have the knowledge. I love, gaining that knowledge and going in something with just a lot more like muscle memory. Once I get muscle memory from the beginning again, it's just going to feel like I'm reliving. It's almost like Second Life. You know, have you heard of that game, Second Life? It's like that. You know, like playing a different version of what you've already got. So,
Jay, should we do Guess Who's review?
Yeah, so I'm saying it this time and you're guessing it, right? I forgot.
Correct.
Because last week I guessed Fantasy Star Universe.
Is that right? Was that last week?
Pretty sure, because you guessed Alien Isolation the week before.
Yeah.
And then I guessed. I got it on the second go, didn't I? Fantasy Star, because you said something about multiple races.
Yeah, 3
and
races.
Something clicked for me or something. So.
Wow, sorry. I just time's strange.
Yeah, this week's gone weirdly quick and slow at the same time.
Yeah.
I've slept so much this last week. It's insane. Right, so yeah, it's 21-19 to me at the minute, just because I managed to get, because it was 19-19, then I guess 2.
Still so close.
I mean, it's surprising how good we've actually managed to back and forth.
That is true.
You're ahead, I'm ahead, we're even. You're ahead, I'm ahead.
That is true.
Yeah. Right, are you ready?
If Jay's ahead, I'll just make a really hard one. I am.
Let me just have a quick read of this, just so I think you can actually get it. Pretty sure you can. Okay, I'll actually read it in different order, just because I think you won't get it if I read it in the order I've got it. Right, are you ready?
I am.
I hope you played this. Let's go.
Okay.
It tossed in too many villains and didn't flesh them out. It clearly tried to replicate stuff from the first game and didn't do it as well. Very open-ended, I know. I'm sorry. It's extremely open-ended.
I'll tell you what's springing to mind. Spider-Man 3, the movie.
So what you can gather from this quote is that there was a first game. So this is the sequel to a first one. There's villains in it, and they tried to replicate from the first game, and they didn't do it as well. So a second game that probably wasn't as good as the first. And there's villains.
Are you sure I've played this game?
Probably hope so. I can't think as to why you hadn't. I mean, you've almost definitely played the first one. So even if you just say the first one, I'll still count it. I'm giving you a good amount of clues. I mean, it's very open-ended, but there is a lot of clues. I doubt you'll get it from the first one. I mean, if you did, I think you were a god.
Can you repeat the quote again, please?
Yes. Hang on. It tossed in too many villains and didn't flesh them out. It clearly tried to replicate stuff from the first game and didn't do it as well. So a game with multiple villains that has a sequel, at least a sequel.
Yeah,
I feel like villains should be quite a good guess, or a good part of that. It's probably the best thing to take away from that.
All right, look, I've got a game in mind. I don't think it's right, but I've got a game in mind.
Say it.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
No, but that's a very good guess.
Thank you.
That's an extremely good guess. I don't even know if you've played that, have you?
I played the first one.
Okay. Yeah, I think I played the first one as well, actually. Yeah. I actually really want to get the third one on Switch, but I can't quite justify it. Right, okay. You ready for the second one? I've got a debate on whether I want to read the second or the third one first.
Okay. God. I'm falling behind, man. I need to get ones harder for Jay.
5 gunmen with hostages didn't scare me because I knew I could disappear into the shadows to string them up from gargoyles. If it isn't obvious from that...
Hey, he's got it! I'm Batman. Arkham City.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I felt like if I read the second one, you wouldn't have got it. So I thought
I
I'd...
do not agree with that first statement.
What do you mean?
Too many villains.
I mean, that's what this person said.
No, I know. It's okay, Jay. I don't blame
The
you.
review. No, I didn't say it. I actually loved the second one more than the first one. So,
Yeah, agreed.
The second
Yeah.
one was way better.
So,
Ra's al Ghul in it, right?
oh mate, I don't even know.
Yeah, Ra's al Ghul, I think, is my favourite part of that. The second one.
So, yes, mate. What was the last quote?
Guys with stun rods, armored outfits, and broken bottles all have to be dealt with in very specific ways. I felt like
Dude,
you probably...
that's the hardest quote.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I had to last. It was going to be my
Okay.
second one. I deliberately made it hard, but I changed it to easy.
Fair.
Right, so we're back up to 21-21, or at least even.
Yes! That wasn't that easy, though.
It wasn't.
think
It was definitely... The first quote was quite hard, I'd say.
Do you know what, though? Now that you've said that, like, Marvel, DC, like, course is
That's
Batman.
why I thought you were close, yeah. It was sort of the villains part of it. Literally, if you said a DC thing first, you would have been equally as close, because it would have been still comic books in general. So, yeah, there isn't very much games of villains in it other than comics and stuff. So.
I'm going through quite a unique phenomenon at the moment with my memory.
Okay. Me too.
I'm getting to the point now where I feel like I could play a game like Fable 2 from the beginning and justify it because I've forgotten that much about it.
That's a good place to be. That's kind of where I wanted to be with like games like Fallout and Skyrim, but I just can't quite get there yet.
So. Yeah.
And again, like, I actually had a very strange thought the other day. I thought, man, I could really play Gears 1 and 2 again. Like, the nostalgia of the first two games hit me so hard the other day. I was like, oh man. When he like finds her, I was like, dude, no. That hit me so hard. And the train in the first one, man, is such a good... It was just... The level design was amazing in that first game.
Yeah.
The third one kind of was still good, but not as good.
Yeah,
but that hit me. I love that. I love the nostalgia of it. But yeah, like some of those old games are starting to like feel slightly nostalgic now. They're starting to feel like I could play it again, and it would have been long enough for me to forget.
Yeah.
And to, like, almost like reading a book for the first time.
Exactly.
Starting to get to that point, which again is, I mean, I live by this sometimes, but everything in moderation, you know. I really believe that. Like it goes with food too. It goes with anything. Like it just goes with like, you know, you really can't enjoy something unless you've not had it for a long time. And you know, everything in moderation. It really works out that way. So I'm happy about that.
Everyone knows what we're playing this week, Jay. So we're
gonna have a lot to talk about next week.
Yeah, we will.